Skin bleaching. Do you want better? In Pakistani, Asian and Since Subs are kid people have been obsessed with my skin tone. It's what they comment on first when they see me. Wow, so pretty. Your skin's so white. Absolutely gross. It's completely messed up how obsessed with lighter tones these people get. This is mainly extended family, rather than my immediate family. And the older women in my family came over to my home and said to me that I need to protect my skin tone, and that she had some cream I should use. She handed me a face cream and I pay no attention to what it is. She leaves and I read what's on the face cream. Skin lightening cream. She had given me stuff that would bleach my skin. So I put the cream to the side, and instead go out and buy some of that instant aunt's pay. I get to work and soon my entire body and face is a beautiful golden brown. I knew she was coming back over the next day, so I wait. As soon as she saw me she actually yelled out. She asked what I had done and said, "I do." "No, I only used your cream." I handed her the band. She threw it in the bin right away. I don't know if it made much of an impact, but she's fairly old and gullible, so I'm hoping you'll stop handing out enlightening stuff. Embarrass me in front of my friends, I'll embarrass you in front of the airport. So my brother and I used to prank each other back and forth regularly a few years ago when I still lived at home. One day I'm sitting in my room hanging out with some friends when he walks in and says, "Look what I found under my brother's bed." He then proceeded to lift my mattress and reveal a dildo he had left there earlier that day. Everyone gets a good laugh at my expense, and my brother makes a fatal error. He leaves said dildo in my possession. Fast forward a month and a half. My brother is on his way to see a friend on the other side of the Canada. I slipped the dildo I've been holding onto in his carry-on right before he leaves the house. It was a gel dildo, so I also inserted the long steel rod inside in hopes it would set off the alarm at security and get him searched. A couple hours later my phone rings. It's my brother. He's calling, still embarrassed to let me know I had won our war, and security had made him pull out the dildo in front of everyone. The best part was he was hitting it off with the cute girl in line behind him who was taking the same flight. However, the conversation ended quite abruptly. He yelled, "Our brother hides a dildo under my bed and shows it of my friends. I hide it in his carry-on and laugh when it's pulled out in front of everyone at airport security." Edit. 2. And so the question about the steel rod just happening to be handy. This was done last second. I'd inserted the rod about a week prior, knowing this trip was coming up with this plan in mind. Very easy to pull off, using a thin rod bit slightly smaller than the rod itself, about the thickness of a nail. Drill up the center of the backside. Insert the rod. Ready to go. Edit 2. Top post of the day. Thanks everyone. Revenge is a dish best served bitter. Over Easter my local coffee place sold carrot cake mini donuts. With carrot cake being my favorite, I enjoyed them so much that I bought a second sleeve to save for later. I put them in the fridge at work with my name on them. After a hectic day I forgot about them and left them behind on my day off. When I returned for my next shift, gone. The place that sold them hadn't unleft it either. Someone must pay. Following week I bought a sleeve of mini donuts again. Using a syringe, I injected 2.5 ml of bitter yuck anti-chew spray into the first donuts of the pack. I clearly marked them with my name and waited. Lo and behold, the mini donuts are gone. It gives me great pleasure to know that the author enjoyed a delicious treat before popping the next into their thieving mouth and began itching uncontrollably. I've used this against my puppy. It is like taking a full bite from a stick of antiperspirant if you get a tiny bit in your mouth. I don't even want to know who did it. In content with the sign I posted afterward. Please stop stealing other people's food. Hope you enjoyed my donuts. On my pizza. You can wear it then. Posted this on another story, but then the more I thought about it, the more I realized it belonged here. When I was 16, my dad and I went to a pizza place that had a buffet that started right at a set time, like on the 0 point. The first 2 pizzas were brought out. No sooner. Well, did work my way around so that I was in the front of the line. My dad was stuck in the back, so I grabbed a couple extra pieces for him. All of a sudden, some woman gets in my face and tells me, "You certainly grabbed enough, so why don't give me some?" and took a few pieces. My dad looks at me and asks me what I'm gonna do. I walked to her table. Tell her, lady, I got this pizza for me, and tried to take it back. She covered them with her hands so all I could get was the toppings. I then said F and told her that if she wanted it bad, she could keep it, and tossed it on her shirt. The rest of the story is that it took her husband 3 days to come to her table and try and talk to my dad, who told him to go away, because he already knew the story. The guy tried to one-up my dad by saying you take the word of a child over that of a pregnant woman. My dad took off his glasses and told him that with those, he had 24/20 vision, and he watched the whole thing, and to get out of his face, or he wouldn't be standing there for long. I was a Vietnam vet. I knew he could back it up, and I still love the fact that he had my back on this day. Edit. Thanks for the silver, whomever you are. Karen really didn't like tuna. Now she is afraid of canned food. So in college they have these residential units, mostly filled with fresh forward/softs, with 4 two-bed bedrooms off of a common area that included a living room of sorts, and a kitchenette with a microwave, two-burner electric cooktop, no oven, fridge and sink. There was only one building that had these units. It was always assumed it was some architectural student's efficiency design experiment from long before that was built for a grade or something. And with the bathrooms in the unit, each shared with 2 other rooms, so the students to a room, 4 students to a bathroom, 8 students to the collective, and a bunch of these units on each of the 4 floors of the building. There were, however, much better places to eat than and around campus, so the kitchens were largely ignored, save for the occasional cooked eggs in the morning and new quick food including popcorn. So much popcorn, an anonymous student liked tuna sandwiches as they were cheap. He would buy these really huge cans, make a couple large bowls of tuna mush, cover it well, important, and leave it in the fridge and have tuna sandwiches for a couple of days off of the 1 can. Tuna is tasty, after all, so nobody could possibly object. But Karen, in her own mind at least, is nobody, so she could object and was heard more than once loudly complaining about the stupid tuna taking up space in the generally empty fridge. Nobody knew what her specific objection was. She just didn't like tuna. It didn't really smell minus tightly covered in a rather cold box. Nobody used the fridge much beyond the occasional thing of milk and an odd root beer bottles. Seriously. Totally not beer. Labels just happened to fall off, and everybody knows that root beer bottles look like beer bottles. Freshmen liked to think they were clever, so one day an anonymous student opened the fridge to get out the bowl of tuna he had made the day before and it was missing. He called out, "Hey, where'd my tuna go?" And Karen shouted back it was stinking up the place, so I threw it away. Really? It wasn't stinking anything up, and she had never before complained about the smell, and it was at least 2 more days worth of sandwiches, so student was quite ticked. Being a quiet and mild kind of guy, he didn't confront Karen, just sighed and went off to graze on the lawn or something. Now, Karen wasn't above her own canned foods. In one of the cupboards was a motley collection of fruit cocktail, peaches, and other quick and easy food that could be eaten out of a can. She grabbed one, opened it up, then scurried off to her room to do whatever it was she did in there. This is the foundation of the revenge. There exists on this planet, for some reason, a food called surströmming. Swedish food. It is fermented herring that comes in a can. In Sweden there is actually a law prohibiting you from opening a can of this stuff on an airplane. I have been told that a lot of people will put the can underwater before opening it. It is the nastiest, the fleest smelling WTF on the planet, minus liquid ass smells like newborn baby and lavender by comparison. As fate would have it, student procured a can from somewhere. It was determined that it was not hard to steam the label off one of Karen's cans and glue it onto this one. That's what he did. Have you ever heard a 9-ish-year-old utter an absolutely horrific scream /gag /retch in the late afternoon? I doubt anybody told her the trick of opening the can underwater. But then again, she was thinking it was peaches or pears or some other. Whatever it was minus whatever she was expecting it. Certainly wasn't that. String of predictable but generally incomprehensible disgusto babble along the lines of WTF. What is that stench? What is going on? Brilliant. Hilarious. Epic. Except student didn't realize that the stench would permeate all of the bedrooms. the outside hallway, and a couple of the surrounding units could be smelled outside thanks to the windows that were thrown open faster than you could recite the relevant line in A Night Before Christmas poem. As I said, freshmen like to think they are clever. He took some hate for this from the neighbors, but as for Karen, student told her what it was in the can. Then he told her why he had done it. Then he showed her that he still had a couple more of the cans in his arsenal of stench. No threats were uttered, but threats were definitely implied. Face went pale and she said not another word. The end of the semester, Karen transferred to another unit somewhere and was never seen again. But before that happened, student would occasionally steam off a label from a can of peaches and either leave it in Karen's cupboard lying loose on a shelf, and in one occasion did intentionally put a job of gluing it onto a can of stinkfish. So it was clearly obvious what it was, even though it had a fruit cocktail label partially peeling off. At the end of the semester, they always had a donation box where students could drop in used cans and boxes of unexpired food that would be donated to a food pantry or something. So it wasn't just going into the trash. It was noted that Karen had dropped in a dozen or two cans that she has bought, but never opened for some reason. You called me fat. Wait 30 minutes for your chicken. Well, this isn't mine, but it's a guy I know, and he'll just tell his story here. I was in line at a fast food restaurant when a mother behind me said to her whining child, "You can only eat one piece of chicken, no more than that, or else you will be fat like this guy." Me, in front of you. Then it was my turn, and I asked the clerk if all the chicken on display is all they had left. They said yes, and the other batch is still cooking. I said to the clerk to buy all of it, paid, and walk away slowly. When the mother comes up, the clerk explained that they're out of chicken and she needs to wait 30 minutes. The kid keeps whining. She was angry and upset. She then looked at me frowning. I just flipped her the bid and turned to went home. Now I'm able to 40k poorer and have 1 pub chicken, but seeing the look of her face and her children is priceless. Typo. Tried to get my car towed. Gets his instead. And a couple hours ago, was on a hurry to get to the bank and cancel my account, since insurance and debt was starting to pile. I was kinda late, so I parked in a bad spot. Bald guy in a Toyota arrives while in parking, and starts berating me to move my car or he will get it towed, all the while screaming and pointing at a relatively far away legit parking spot. Now, I'm really in a hurry because my debt increases for each and every day my account is still open, and it's the first time in months I can afford to pay for it. But I can't afford to get my shitty car towed. So I oblige and move my car, and walking all the way back to the bank, I realize this dumbass just parked in the place I was before. So I call the towing service and get inside the bank, and I got out 25 min. Later dumbass was there, his Toyota was not. I waved my hand at him and walked towards my parking stop. Unexplainably mad bald guy, if you're reading this, suck it up my dude. Passive-aggressive pizza man's customers who ordered 5 minutes before the closing setting. So I work nights delivering pizza like any other good American. Occasionally the shifts are closing shifts. Store closes at midnight, like it was a couple months ago. About 30 minutes before closing we get an order from a regular customer. Leaves me a generous tip, all was fine. I'm headed back to the store with about 10 more minutes remaining, and almost everything is already done. Then we'll be able to get out on time or a little early. Rising action. I walk back into the store to hear the dreaded beep alert telling us an order is placed from online. I see the time is 11:55 am. TLRD included at bottom. Sometimes this happens. I'll never be used to it, and usually it's not a big deal. This time though, I saw what the order was. It was 5 large pizzas, all different family meals, and 4 2-liter bottles of soda. I checked the order ticket and saw it came out to $80 for them. By the time we prepare the order, it's already 10 or 15 minutes after closing time. It's a lot of food and drinks, so my coworker helps me bring it to my car. I see the receipt that they tipped in advance with their card and guess how much they left me. Well, if you guessed a pretty good amount, you're wrong. They left $1 as a tip. $1. A note in Arrow, 1 Washington. So because they tipped $1 on man, $80 order 5 minutes before the store closes. They are going to be treated that way by me. That low of an amount you may as well keep it for yourself. Because that's more of a joke and a nice reward for the worker. Be grateful that they did. No. Piss off. Now I'm not that much of an asshole. I would never purposefully mess up anybody's order or illegally tamper with their food in any way. It's just wrong. I think about how these people placed an order a few minutes before the closing of a store. I hope the insight to think that it's wrong of them to do, and that maybe we shouldn't. I thought about how this will set us back about 45 minutes because of the extra work and working backwards. Okay, now here's the juicy part of the story. So driving to their place I was upset. I couldn't do anything about it. I had my hand on a 2-liter, and the light bulb turned on above my head. We all know that if we drop a soap off it, it's gonna fizz up like crazy when opened in B flat once it is opened. I took the 2-liter I had in my hand and gave it a few good strong shakes. I do the same thing with the other sodas, and I even threw it in the floor of my car. Before going to their door I wait for the noticeable bubbles to go away, and I carry their full load in one trip to their door. I knew in advance they wouldn't give me a penny more as a tip. I was 100% correct about that. At the door they did not mention at all that they were sorry for ordering salt or anything like that whatsoever. As an added bonus when handing one of their 2-liter sodas to them, I accidentally dropped one before handing it to them. They didn't think anything of it. I got the rest of their order to them and was on my way. These guys were being loud, so as I started driving away I was really hoping to hear the reaction of them opening one of the sodas which was shaken. This will only exist in my imagination. Conclusion. I imagine them screeching as compressed gases from the soda shoots sticky, syrupy soda all over them, their faces, the kitchen and everywhere else. I imagine it to be played in slow motion with classical music playing in the background like in the movies. I wish I could have seen it happen. I imagine it was a moment which I would have found wonderful. This would have been avoidable if they ordered at a normal time, quite petty/passive aggressive. You ask me. Drive. Will order $80 of pizza 5 minutes before the store closes. They left $1 in advance. Pizza guy shakes up the sodas so when they were opened the drink would shoot out everywhere. In my textbook. Wouldn't it be a pity if you got an F because of it? So this happened a few years ago, in 5th grade. On phone and English. This is my second language, so sorry if there are any misspelled words. It all started when a few of my friends had my textbook for German language classes on German class. I didn't know they hid it. So I thought I just forgot it at home. I had an 8-minute lecture of how we didn't care about school and stuff. The class they told me what they did. It was Monday. She said on Wednesday she will be giving grades for textbooks and if we don't bring them we get F. You already know where this is going. Before the class I hid their textbooks and they couldn't find them. They even checked mine and a few others' friends' backpacks. We would steal each other's stuff and give them back in like 5 minutes or so. Yeah, they couldn't find them. Hid them at some other kid's backpack and gave him like 50 cents so he doesn't tell them. All of them got an F for not having textbooks. Next class I put their textbooks back without them knowing. We went to give German teacher their textbooks after they found them, but the damage was done, and even if she wanted to grade them now, she couldn't because they already got grades. To this day they still don't know I did, and I'm planning on telling them. If it's through the text I will. These screenshots. TL. Drive. Couple of friends hid my textbook. Next class I hid it and all of them got an F.